Picture It Los Angeles 2025.
Welcome to Out on the Lanai, the only Golden Girls podcast you're ever gonna need to listen to. I'm HAlanScott / Sadie Pines.
I'm Kerri Doherty, and today we're bringing you another Golden Rewind, where we go back and rewatch our favorite episodes of the Golden Girls and offer new insights since we first started breaking down these episodes way back in 2014.
Way back.
I hope you all popped a Spanish fly and put on your best puce-colored suit before tuning in, because we just rewatched season 2, episode 1, End of the Curse.
Oh my God, this episode is just so classic, so perfect. Whenever we have our moments of busyness in our lives, I feel like we default to like a classic, just like a classic episode, and it makes me feel so good.
Same. You're right. Whenever we are like, super, super busy, and it's like we've got a lot going on, and it's like, okay, let's do a rewind this week. We just did 2 weeks of breaking down Stan and Dorothy's relationship, which was a lot of work. Mm-hmm. Let's just keep it simple. And
I also think a lot of people
always go for classic episodes.
I think a lot of people who don't do podcasts, but they live their lives like that too. Whenever things get chaotic, busy, crazy, you don't really want to have the time where you want to watch like the deep cuts or whatever, because you don't want to think about it. You just kind of want to go for the ones you know are gonna like hit great. You know what I mean? Like Ladies of the Evening, or Isn't It Romantic, or like the classic ones that you're just like, okay, I know these ones will hit and they will be great in this moment of stress, and then I'll be able to go to bed.
Yeah, there's no way I'm decompressing to Sick and Tired part 1 or 2.
Well, I am. I will admit that episode, while can be a little morose, if you will, I do think that Blanche's storyline is one of the funniest, most slapsticky storylines that the show has ever had. And that episode, if you just want to fast forward to Blanche's moments, which I don't think you ever should do on the Golden Girls, but if you want to, that's great, because that's just slapstick funny.
Little balls of sunshine. Yeah, you're right. It's because, yes, Blanche's storyline, it is one of the funniest. Loopy Blanche is amazing.
So great.
I can't handle Sophia going like, my baby might be dying, and Dorothy might be dying, and they don't even know it. Like, that whole thing is like, oh, it breaks my heart. I can't do it. Yeah. Okay, you and I, we've got a lot of catching up to do. Before we do, and then before we get into this episode, the preamble, I do want to talk about what's coming up in the GG VIP Club this week and in the next few weeks, because it's a lot of very exciting stuff.
Oh my God.
And listeners, if you're new, if you haven't been listening to me, natter on about the GG VIP Club, pause right now, go to patreon.com/Golden Girls Podcast, check it out. We have tons of fun bonus content. We have exclusive interviews with cast members and writers that you can only get on the Patreon. We have tons of bonus content. We do live watch-along
You're missing
parties.
The most important thing, Kerri, Doherty, Bush, that last week on the Rusty Anchor Happy Hour, while I was in my absence in the land of Mary Poppins, you invited Stan on the podcast onto Rusty Anchor Happy Hour. And that is a reason alone why people should subscribe to the Patreon.
It was so much fun having Stan. It was kind of a last minute thing because you and I were trying to coordinate. Maybe we'll Zoom. But the time difference, it was couldn't do it. So I said, Stan, honey, would you like to join me on the podcast? And he said, can we talk about whatever I want? And I said, no, we cannot. I said, let's play some Golden Girls trivia.
Did he really do that? What did he want to talk about?
Probably just the Eagles.
Oh, brother.
Because they're playing in the Super Bowl this weekend.
I think I would love to have a conversation with him about the Eagles and then make it really gay.
So you don't know what the tush push is.
No idea what that means.
Yeah, it's called maybe that sounds gay, but maybe I could call it by its other name.
It sounds gay.
The brotherly shove. Does that sound less gay?
That sounds more gay. Is that a thing too?
It's the tush push. The tush push is also known as the brotherly shove.
Are they doing that at the Super Bowl? Can I zoom in on those things?
Yeah, you would and honestly, the tush push is kind of sexy.
What is the tush push?
So the tush push is when the Eagles need to make it to the line. Oh God, I'm going to sound like it's such an idiot. You know how in football there are 4 downs and you have 4 downs to get to that next goal.
All I care is about
place
things getting
on the
down with
field.
the tush bush.
Anyway, when they're like a couple yards off and it's 3rd down, or if they're close to the end zone, they'll do what's called a tush push, where they'll hike the ball to the quarterback and then all the players literally shove their hot, sweaty, thick bodies into him and they physically push him over the line while the defense, the other team, they physically push their bodies back up against them, trying to stop Jalen Hurts from getting over that line.
Wow, that is very homoerotic.
It is.
So,
just Google the Eagles tush push.
Okay, I probably won't, but I will think about it. And when I'm watching the Super Bowl, I will be looking for opportunities to zoom in.
Just
on
Google
a tush.
Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. They're so sexy. Anyway, we were talking about the GGVIP Club and what's coming up.
Sure.
So just Google them.
Okay.
Jalen Hurts has the thickest quads I've ever seen.
Wow, we are really turning into Blanche does the Super Bowl.
This is Blanche Devereaux. That's what we should have done.
Tell me about the tush bush.
That would have been an amazing Rusty Anchor happy hour for this week. Although,
let's do it. We have time.
No, we need to. I wanted to talk about this last week. And you said we couldn't. You're like, we don't have time. And I might have been the week before even. You just said we don't have time, Kerri.
Yeah.
And I said, but this is news. This is Golden Girls news that's from years ago, but I just recently learned about it. And I said, the audience has to know.
Which they probably do, because it's from years ago.
I don't want to spoil it. I didn't know this information. I'd be so curious to text. Why don't you text while I tell everybody what's going on why don't you text Elliot in Alaska and ask them if they knew about this? But don't spoil what it is.
Okay.
Friends, listeners, there is a celebrity who was nearly killed by the Golden Girls. I'm being dead serious when I say this. And we're going to talk about it on the Rusty Anchor Happy Hour.
Yeah.
It was a very serious matter.
It was, yeah.
Anyway. So that's what's coming on the Rusty Anchor Happy Hour this week.
It's going to be fun.
We also have, I know we keep teasing it. I'm not going to say who, but we have a few fun interviews coming up this month. I think the first one will drop like 2 weeks from today. And then I think the other one will drop a week after that, as long as our schedule stays the same. I'm so excited to interview these 2 people. One of them, I don't think has ever been interviewed for a Golden Girls podcast.
Give a hint. Give a hint.
Okay, I'm going to give a hint. On the Golden Girls, there have been characters who are played by multiple actors. Becky, for example. We have Becky number 1, Becky number 2.
Yeah.
Glenn number 1, Glenn number 2.
Yeah.
This is a frequent thing on this show. We are scheduled to speak to an actor. I'm not saying if it's a man or a woman, who also played one of those roles where they were either a 1 or a 2.
Wouldn't it be great if someone played a man and then a woman?
Oh, that would have been amazing.
Yeah.
It's a very iconic episode. I love it so much. I'm so excited to talk to this person. That's the hint that I'm going to give.
Yay. I love that.
Okay. Are you Googling Jalen Hurts' quads? Okay.
No, I can't spell that name.
Okay. So the other thing coming up in the GGVIP Club, we want you to all mark your Men of Blanche's Boudoir calendars if you are in the $8 a month tier, because our next live watch-along party is going to be Sunday, February 23rd at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I will be putting out a poll for everybody to vote on which episode we're going to be watching. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
And again, you can do all of this stuff at patreon.com/Golden Girls Podcast.
Yes. Yes. Indeed.
Have I covered everything on the...
I think so. I'm just thinking of the tush bush still.
The tushy pushy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was bummed that I missed the Rusty Anchor, but I literally got back from London like Sunday night. And it was a very busy week. But I am back. I didn't really do that much. I mean, I did a lot, but I didn't do any fun stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, I did some fun stuff, but it was a very busy week. So
I was going to say you were working,
but
so you were probably relaxing.
Yeah, but I relaxed with, so I remembered to bring my HDMI cable so that I could plug it into the television and then into my iPad, and then I could watch me some Golden Girls on the TVs while I was in jolly old England. And it was delightful, I have to say. It was just so nice just to get back to that hotel after that cold, wet, rainy London day and snuggle in with some Gigi. Literally nothing better. And I also want to thank a lot of the GG people too, because a lot of people messaged me telling me things to do that I didn't really have a lot of time to do. But it was lovely to know that those things exist. And actually I did a few of them. So it was nice. And I had a few people comment on my Golden Girls tattoo while I was there.
That's nice.
Yeah, when they saw my arm. Not often because it was usually covered in coats.
Because it was cold.
It was freezing and I was wet and I was miserable and I did not need a reminder about how much I've become an Angelino. I don't like they're more of a reminder than walking around a city that you have to walk in freezing cold and wet.
Yeah, I did that in my 20s in New York. I'm okay. So when people saw you with your tattoo, did they say like, they performed for the Queen once? Did anybody say that to
No,
you?
no one did
Oh,
that. But they did talk about how they used to watch them. And then a lot of those conversations spiraled into the show Frasier, oddly enough, because it's like Frasier's on all the time over there, apparently. And it's like
wow.
it's like on in the mornings and it's like a big morning show for them. It's like it's their rerun show. It's the one, which
That's so funny. Frasier is practically
that's
British.
what I was thinking. It like is a very British American show in that respect. And it's also, I mean, Frasier is one of the gayest straight shows that you could ever have. I mean, the character of Frasier Crane is so gay on a level that is like beyond. Like if you thought Tush Push was
I
gay
was
and
going to say it was
homoerotic,
like tush push territory. Yeah.
yeah, Frasier Crane was the original Tush Push on NBC. I don't know where the Super Bowl airs, but like if it's on NBC, Tush like Frasier beat him to it.
Probably Fox is my guess.
But yeah, a lot of people talk to me about it, the like because I one of the things I love about Golden Girls fans and just TV fans in general is that you remember what the order of things that were on at a particular time. Do you know what I mean? Like you remember like, okay, yeah, I watched Seinfeld and then I watched Friends and then I watched Will and Grace and like you remember sort of like the layout of the night and it's the same in the UK too, that they have the same thing, except and a lot of times it was like, oh yeah, they came on in the morning here, or they came on, I remember I'd watch it right after school, and it was like it was just fun to hear that from people, you know.
Now, I know in some countries, the release of shows is delayed for a while. Like our good friend Damir Kanitsia is from Bosnia, and I think
Yes.
like they would get shows years later.
Yeah.
Is that the case in the
No,
UK, or no? Do they kind of get
I
everything
don't.
at the
I mean,
same
I
time?
don't know exactly when it was on in the UK, but I have a feeling it was on at the same time as the
Mm.
US. Probably just a slight delay, but I think it was pretty much in sync. Because I mean, they performed for the Queen while the show was still running or still on the
Oh,
air.
yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah,
I'm assuming it was.
wasn't that far behind.
Yeah.
Well, you being out of town coincided with me being out of town, which was a total coincidence.
Oh.
Stan's parents came to visit for a week. We had a great time. And over the weekend, Stan and I went away to two of our very, very good friends who don't believe in marriage. They never want to get married, but they've been together since like high school. They both turned 40. And so they had what felt like a destination wedding. And it was really like, they called it a social club. And really, we
That's
just like went
fun.
away and sort of celebrated with them. And they had friends flying from New York. And we went to, I feel like this is a place maybe you've been to,
Mm.
the Madonna Inn in San Luis
Yes.
Obispo. Yes, you've been to the
Yes.
Madonna Inn. I'm
Yeah.
sure maybe many people have been to the Madonna
It's
Inn.
very
It
famous.
opened in,
It's very famous.
it's very famous. It opened in 1958 and it has very much stayed that way. It is like walking
But it was
into
redone by a
a
group of
time
gay
machine.
men a couple of years ago who renamed it the Madonna Inn, and they themed the rooms. That is a more recent development, the Madonna Inn theming of some of the stuff, because
Oh,
yeah,
sure. It's been called the Madonna Inn this whole time though, because that was
yes,
the name of the family.
but they rethemed it. The gay guys that bought it, they rethemed it in like I think the 90s. I could be wrong. And it's
That
still
lines up.
and it's still very much and they use the kitsch of the name in order to like do a lot of the theming.
It is. So there's like 110 rooms. If you've never been, just Google it. Every room is themed differently. They've got the cutest names. They're so fun. It is such a kitschy place. There was dinner, there was dancing. A bunch of us, we rented a party bus, but it wasn't like a typical party bus. It was actually like an old school bus that had been like refit to be a party bus, and it had like Christmas lights on the inside. It was really cool. It was black. I'll post pictures of it at some point. But we went to for a whole day of wine tasting. We went to wine caves.
I love that area of California,
It was
San Luis
beautiful. It was
Obispo.
absolutely
it's
beautiful.
gorgeous, gorgeous.
And I have to tell you, so, little Oreo, she was with her grandparents all week. And, she can have a really hard time when people leave. Like, when her grandparents were leaving, it was the morning, she was in her little footy PJs and she was going, I don't want them to leave. And then, a few days earlier, when Stan and I were getting ready to leave to go to the Madonna Inn, we're telling her, like, honey, we're going to be gone. Okay, 1 sleep, 2 sleep. So 2 nights, and then we'll be back and we'll FaceTime whenever you want. We're saying all this stuff to her to like prepare her emotionally. And we go upstairs to grab the suitcase and we come down and we're going to say goodbye to her. And she's sitting at the kitchen table coloring and she calls out from across the room, can you guys go now?
That's my girl.
Clearly
Yes.
she's more upset about her grandparents leaving than her
Yes.
parents.
You guys are around all the time.
I know, we're here
you're
all the time.
old
She's like,
news.
whatever.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about her age is that we didn't have to buy her any gifts because, like, anything entertains her. So we brought her a bar of soap from the hotel room. She loves it. She goes, thanks for the soap. She loves soap. And we gave her the little map of the hotel where when you go to check in, they go, and here you are, X, and then here's your room. So just drive up there. And we gave it to her. She's like, cool, a treasure map. So
I have a controversial opinion about gifts.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah, because I always experience this dilemma when I am traveling, especially on my own, or not even on my own, just like in general when I travel. And it's the obligation to bring people something when you come home from a thing. And I have stress looking for the thing when I'm actually on that trip, like when I'm actually in the location. So I often only remember to do it or only feel like, oh, I have to do it when I'm at the airport. And then it just becomes a shit gift because I just bought something more expensive than it probably ever would have been if I bought it in the city. And it's a shit gift. And then I'm like, I mean, kids are different, but like, I got all adults.
She's the only person, and again, didn't spend a dime. But yeah, otherwise I don't buy things for people when I go places.
I feel the same way about birthdays. Fuck birthdays.
Yeah.
It's just after a certain age, I'm like, you'll get a happy birthday around the month in which your birthday exists.
Yeah.
I'm not going to remember on the day. I'm just not.
No.
It's not going to happen. It won't happen. I'm not that person. I'm not that person.
Well, we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah. The end of the
That's related
curse.
to this episode.
The end of the curse.
About menopause.
Oh, should we get into it?
Let's get into it.
Yay.
So, as we all know, Rue McClanahan won an Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy for this episode.
Well
and
deserved.
I get it.
She's so perfect in this episode.
And she is showing us a range of emotions. She is flirty. She is happy. She is sad. She's experiencing joy. It's so great. And
It's
there's
also that
so
perfect-
much material for her.
It's that perfect window. We've talked about it a lot in recent episodes, at least I have, in that there's that mix of like mid-'80s comedy acting, which allowed for dramatic moments more often than late 80s, early 90s sitcom acting, where it often had to be constant funny. And this was a great example of that, of someone having that range of both really, really funny and really, really serious moments.
Yeah. And this story, it's a huge story in the episode. The Mink story is like a little baby B story. It's like barely a story because the Blanche story is so big. It's so meaty. And what I love is that obviously I think with the writers wanting to do a story about menopause, which is so great when you have a show about women of a certain age, it makes the most sense to do the story with Blanche. looks, youth, they're so important to her, such a big part of who she considers herself to be. So yeah, Rue McClanahan. Oh, if you haven't watched this episode in a while, guys, go back and watch it because
It's worth
she
it. It's a gem.
shines in this episode.
I mean, but so does the whole cast. I mean, having, because like you would think, even though yes, I think you're right. Like Rue McClanahan's character, BR or Blanche, is like the perfect example of someone to have this conversation. But like your brain would immediately think to go to B. Arthur because she is the one that talks about, you know, being a woman more, sort of feminism, sort of the liberty of sort of the change of life and all of these different things. Like you would think that she would be driving that story, but no, it makes more sense for Blanche to do it in a really creative, funny way.
It's so great. It's
Like the
so
fact
great.
that she thinks she's pregnant already, that's hilarious.
That twist, I'm sure the first time I saw that episode, I was like, oh, no.
No, you didn't-
And I'm
you didn't
sure
think she
that
was-
that twist also came from a true story that either Susan Harris had experienced, someone she knew had experienced, somebody that one of the writers knew, one of their mothers, something where you have this like, what emotional whiplash you must feel as a person who can get pregnant when you're like, oh, I'm okay, I'm pregnant, okay, this is okay, I've just got to like reconfigure my brain, rewire it for motherhood in the next 18 plus years, okay, and then to just be like, nope, actually no, you just can't have children anymore.
Yeah,
That's such
that's
like
wild.
a
That is wild.
shit to deal with.
Yeah.
I was surprised in this episode that they did a story about breeding minks because obviously B. Arthur has come out in interviews and said she didn't like this episode because she didn't want to promote mink breeding. And between Betty, I mean, all the women were animal rights activists. I'm wondering if they didn't put the kibosh on it because either one, it was written by Susan Harris, who maybe explained to them the thematic importance of tying it in with menopause and blah, 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 or like maybe because it was the beginning of the second season, they didn't want to rock the boat and start off on the wrong foot. Like, what do you think?
I have a feeling the four actresses, even though the show was a massive hit, just like with Friends and other sitcoms, you don't really prove your success and strength as a show until you hit that 100 episode syndication mark, or not even, maybe third season, where you can start dictating. I mean, look at the cast of Abbott Elementary. Like they're going into 5 seasons, I think, already, and they just got a raise. And so like there is this level of sort of, you really got to prove your value. And if you walk away from this show, you're an asset that's going to be missed very much in a show like this. So like, I don't know if they had the power yet to dictate what they would and wouldn't do, or what they wouldn't go with in a storyline. You know what I mean? Like
Maybe
but I also,
individually, but there is strength in numbers.
There is strength in numbers, but not back then. They didn't have that. Like that wasn't a thing really until Friends.
Yeah, until they all
the collective
negotiated.
bargaining did not happen until Friends, and with the salaries at least. But even beyond that, I don't think they also, all of them come from the school of the material is the material. You trust the material. There's no improvising. There's no whatever. You do the lines because the writers are geniuses and they do the things. And I feel like that also was probably more likely the case, that they just thought, this is what they wrote, then I'm going with it. You know what I mean?
And it was probably too big to change, because it's one thing. I know Estelle Getty has said that if she was uncomfortable with a line, especially if she felt like it would offend the gay community, then she put the kibosh on it. But that's one joke versus a whole storyline. So
yeah, exactly.
Maybe you're right. I try to go down the rabbit hole of, I know Dorothy says they only spent $678 to breed these minks in their garage. I try to go down the rabbit hole of like, what exactly, how do you go about getting like a license to breed mink in a garage in Florida? Because that seems highly illegal.
I don't think they had a license.
Yeah, even just owning mink, you have to like, you have to be a USDA permitted breeder to breed.
And how much is, I mean, $678 in 1986.
$1,800 today.
$1,800. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. So they're trying to breed mink to make money, which honestly feels like, it seems like this is Dorothy's idea in the episode, but it does seem like a Sophia kind of scam.
Yes.
And then, they're talking about how Blanche hasn't want to come out of her room, and She's really upset. And I do want to play the moment of Blanche's big reveal because there is something so special about Betty White fainting on a couch while wearing a sweater with a tiny house and puffy clouds on it.
Yes.
So I just want to play this moment.
Yes.
Come on, Blanche. Oh, my God.
Blanche, please tell us what's wrong.
We're your friends, honey, your family. Now, nothing so terrible that we wouldn't understand. You can tell us, what is it? I'm pregnant.
Rose!
Play nice, girls. Oh, Sophia.
I love Sophia's line.
I love the way Blanche responds, Sophia!
Well, I don't know if you noticed this, but after Rose faints and Dorothy and Blanche shout, Rose! They were both so loud, they peaked the microphones. Like,
I didn't
the
hear
sound
that.
is so blown out.
I mean, both of them, both Rue McClanahan and Dorothy, surprisingly can go loud.
They were very loud. Like, that boom op should have been like, oh, shit, I got to go higher.
Yeah.
Also, I love Dorothy's choice of words when she's trying to ask Blanche when she thinks she might have
touches her
gotten
chin
period.
in a weird way, where she like when Blanche or when Rose falls, she goes like she does like a thing to her face that I thought was really funny.
Who does?
Dorothy.
Oh, I missed it. But I do love when she asked, "When was your fertile period?"
Like she's a mink.
Yeah, maybe that's why it was worded that way. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's so interesting. I guess these days, I don't know. I would have said like, when was your ovulation window? Maybe that's just as weird.
I mean, I was waiting for the moment because I mean, Rue McClanahan is playing, I think, older than she was at the time. I think, in terms of, them being around the same ages, like, so that she meets where B. Arthur and Betty White were. And in that, I feel like I was a little surprised that there were no jokes, and maybe there were and they were just cut, but there were no jokes about, aren't you too old for this? Aren't you? Because they just, I mean, especially Dorothy was just sort of like, well, when were you fertile? Like, when was your moment of, like, when did you last have a visitor, if you will? And like the fact that no one questioned, maybe it's just like maybe it's not happening. It would have ruined the storyline, but still, like, I'm just surprised.
I think there was some math at one point, and I think in the episode, and I want to say it put her at like 52, maybe 54.
Which she could, I mean, she definitely could still have been, like, that's still an age that some women can do that, have a baby.
And I think too, because it's not like she was like, here are my symptoms, I don't know what's going on, and they were like having a conversation about it. She just took a pregnancy test and comes in and announces, I'm pregnant.
Now, I'm not that familiar with how pregnancy tests work because that's not my world. But would that happen? Like, would a positive sign show, like, accidentally? That part.
This is what I'm guessing is like the true story, that this actually happened to somebody. So what I'm assuming is, again, I've taken a pregnancy test. I've been pregnant. I don't know how they work. I just know that I saved mine that I peed on when I had little Oreo. Yeah, I saved
in a bag,
it.
I hope, somewhere.
Yeah, in a bag.
Okay.
But I'm assuming what it is, and it's going to probably, if this is incorrect, I'm just going to sound like an idiot, but I don't care. We're all family here. I'm assuming maybe it has something to do with like your estrogen levels.
Oh.
Being, and that's what sort of would give you a false positive. So, and maybe that's, what's happening during menopause as well. So I'm assuming that's what it was. When Blanche talks about her concern about her body not bouncing back,
Yeah.
I related to that.
I think a lot of women do.
much.
I think a lot of women do.
For someone like Blanche, who you think your child rearing years are behind you, you've worked really hard to get your body back into a shape, and especially at a certain age, you feel like, oh, it's definitely not going to bounce back.
Yeah.
again, I'm very like everybody, like love yourself, love who you are, love yourself in your own skin.
Love yourself only works when it's coming from somebody else. It's rarely ever in the moment that you feel that ever. And it's okay to not feel that.
I just want to be realistic and also acknowledge it's like the whole like you're a mom, you can have it all. It's like, guess what? Sometimes you can't have it all. Sometimes it's just really, really hard. And that's okay too.
That's okay. I know. It's always, to me, I feel like whenever someone says like love yourself, love your body or whatever, it's like, it's actually just another way to shame people because it's just like,
I'm like, just don't invalidate my feelings. I'm really trying my best to love myself right now, but like I'm having a hard time.
Exactly.
Yeah. So again, very complicated feelings around it. And it is, if I get pregnant again and I have it's the thing I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, I barely got my body back this time. Barely.
Yeah.
Still can't fit into any of my pre-baby jeans.
Maybe your body is exactly where it's meant to be in whatever
Shut
state
up,
it's
Rose.
meant to be.
Shut up. Okay, do you want to hear another microphone peek?
Oh,
because
sure.
it's at the end of the next clip, which that's not why I pulled this moment, but I love this moment because it has to be the most time that any sitcom has ever dedicated to talking about Spanish fly.
Yeah.
Or which is an aphrodisiac, as Rose would assume it to be. So just listen you can hear it. I don't care, Rose. You can hear the microphone peak again. Listen for it.
Like what?
Like Spanish fly.
Spanish flies?
Fly, Rose, one fly.
Oh, come on, Dorothy. I've been to Spain. It's not the cleanest country in the world. They've got thousands of flies. Valencia alone.
It is not a fly, Rose.
Spanish fly is not a fly?
No.
What is it?
It's a beetle.
They call it a fly, but it's really a beetle?
Yes.
How do they know it's Spanish?
Because it wears a little sombrero, Rose.
Well, why don't they just call it a beetle? Spanish beetle?
Because they call it Spanish fly.
Well, then what do they call their fly?
I don't care, Rose! Forget it. I don't care. The minx can just sit there and we'll lose all our money. I don't care. Just don't mention Spanish fly to me ever again.
What I love about this moment is we discover that Miss Rose Nyland is a world traveler. Someone from St. Olaf
who knows Valencia.
Who knows Valencia is somehow now, I think they quickly moved away from that direction of Rose Nyland because I think in later seasons the idea of Rose Nyland having ever traveled, particularly to Spain or anywhere outside of Minnesota before Charlie passed, was probably not ever happening. So I was so surprised. I was like, when did she go to Spain?
I feel like everybody was when she goes Valencia alone. I'm like, who said that?
I want to see pictures. Rose.
Yeah, I want to see pictures of your travels to Valencia. Have you ever deliberately taken some kind of aphrodisiac before sexy times?
Girl, you're talking to a homosexual.
What, like Molly?
No.
I don't know. I don't know. Or oysters?
That was such a Schitt's Creek moment where you had, I don't even know Schitt's Creek very well, but I feel like, what's her name, Moira or whatever the mom would be like, oh, do you mean like cocaine?
Come down now.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, yes, there are enhancements in which some things make things more supple for entry. And so in order to have that, every homosexual listening is dying of laughter right now, and all of their female friends who have heard these stories. But yes, you take certain things. I won't say what they are because I don't want to become demonetized. Where things happen, and then we're not even monetized on YouTube or anything, but still, I don't want to go there. But yes,
will you text it to me?
Yes, I'll text it to you right now.
Text it to me right now. I won't say it out loud, but I do want to know what you're talking about.
You won't. I don't think you'll know what I mean when I text this to you. I just texted it to you.
Text it to me. While you're doing that, I love the line because Blanche comes in and they're like, Blanche is really upset and she runs into her room. I love the way Rose delivers the line. She's in there. Really?
She's
Columbo?
in there. Yeah.
She's in there.
Look at your text. So
it's so perfect.
So it's referenced in the moment and you can have a reaction. Ready? 1, 2, 3, react. Do you know what that is? You don't even know what that is, do you? Well, okay.
Can you send me a?
No,
Can
I'm
you
not
send
gonna,
me a?
no, I'm not. But it's.
I don't know what that is.
It's. I mean, okay. Anyone listening, just Google.
Is that like when
wait,
you
wait,
know
wait, wait.
they
Just
they
Google
come in a
VHS
little?
cleaners. Just Google VHS cleaners, and you'll understand everything. And put the word gay in there, and you're fine.
When you the little things that you throw on the ground and they go pop, 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 pop
No,
on
it's
the
not
4th
that.
of July.
It's not that. It's not that at all. It's not that at
Okay.
all. Just like oral sex is not like a lollipop or not like a hot dog or whatever. Like you don't blow on whatever. I'm not going down this direction.
I mean, we're rated explicit. I think it's fine.
Not on YouTube.
Okay. All right. I'll move past it.
Yes.
When I feel like Alaska would appreciate what I'm about to say. When Rose and Dorothy are outside of Blanche's door, excitedly daydreaming about how they can help the baby, I've always thought it's so funny that Dorothy is so explicit
Yes.
with her career when she's like, and I can help with his homework because I'm a teacher. As if Rose didn't already know that. That would be like if I told Stan, like, and I'll do bedtime stories with little Oreo because I'm a television
Okay,
writer.
I just want to go back. I want to go back to the time where sometimes when we get excited about things and new possibilities and new beginnings, for example, when you wanted to become someone who sold pies, that you never made pies.
I have not let my pie dream hasn't died. And in fact, if my pie book right now wasn't holding up my ring light, I would show it to you all.
Have you
with
made a
the
pie
book.
from it?
No.
Okay. That's what
I'm
I'm
waiting
saying.
for the right
Sometimes
time.
we get very excited and we just say things and then we don't think about the things we're saying. And then they're out in the world and everyone hears them and we get made fun of for them for the rest of our lives. And that is Dorothy saying that and you about pies.
Challenge accepted. I'm going to open my pie shop. Just give me a little bit more time.
Please, I won't invest.
I didn't ask you to.
You would.
No, I wouldn't. I don't want to mix friendship and money.
Oh, I do.
If the Golden Girls has taught us anything, that is no bueno.
This episode, Binks.
The moment where Blanche comes out of her room and she tells the women that she isn't pregnant and that in fact that she's going through menopause.
Yeah.
This might just be a coincidence, but Judy Evans, costume designer.
Amazing.
She put Blanche in an all white outfit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for those of us out there who get periods, you people, you know that it's always a tricky game if you're going to wear white, if you've got your period. And now Blanche is covered in head to toe white because she'll never have to worry about that again.
Wow. Kerri, Doherty, Bush, Montgomery, Clift. That is a wild observation in which I think we need to take a break and really think about it.
Yeah, let that soak in, everybody. Just blow your minds.
60 seconds.
I bet that's not in Jim Colucci's book.
Wow. Okay, taking a break. Da-na-na-na.
So poor Blanche, she's having such a hard time dealing with the fact that she's going through menopause. The women take her to see a psychiatrist. Let me ask you.
Famous Golden Girls psychiatrist. I mean, this man has been on many an episode of the Golden Girls it's like one of the rare recurring roles of a non-sequential, like important character, really, but yet they like this actor enough to bring him back multiple times in really minor roles.
Well, I think he was only brought back one other time. Correct me if I'm wrong. The actor's name is Philip Sterling. He was also the psychiatrist in 3 on a Couch when the women are fighting.
Yes.
But weirdly,
wasn't he also brought back later on? I thought, wasn't he the final the therapist with the monkey?
No, that was a different guy.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, that was a different guy. But Philip Sterling, this guy, when he returned for 3 on a Couch, he was a psychiatrist by a different name.
Really?
So they weren't thinking about it that hard. Yeah,
Wow.
at least on IMDb, he's got a different character name.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
which could have been because when a writer writes an episode and comes up with a new character name, they get what's called a character payment. So there's a chance that they wanted to bring the writer back, but Susan Harris was like, I want that character payment. He's going to be a different... Oh, I guess Susan Harris was the first one who wrote it. So whoever wrote 3 on a Couch, it could have been that they changed the name because they wanted their own character payment and didn't want it to go to Susan Harris.
Wow.
Drama. Peek behind the curtain of how TV works. So Blanche is so freaked out in this psychiatrist's office. Back in the 80s, was there a huge stigma about seeing a psychiatrist? Because she's as freaked out as Dorothy was when she had to get foot surgery.
I mean, I think there's always... I mean, listen, they made a whole show or a drama around a man feeling uncomfortable going to therapy, The Sopranos. So, like, I feel like it is a common...
Oh, shit. Is that what that show's about?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great show. I love The Sopranos so much.
It's about the mob, right?
Well, yeah, but it's just watch it.
It's
great.
about singers.
It's great. Yeah. But yeah, so I do think there's a stigma around therapy, and I still think there is for a lot of people.
Well, once Blanche is in the psychiatrist's office, I like that she's not immediately comfortable. I feel like it's kind of like a small directing thing.
Blanche uncomfortable is so good. Like she does it so well because it makes you really feel, because she's someone who is comfortable in her body and in her skin and in who she is. And in this moment, this was her Emmy moment when you start to see how physically uncomfortable she is with this part of her.
She's also, I agree with everything you're saying. She actually looks uncomfortable in her skin when she's in the office. I also liked that when the first time we see her in the psychiatrist's office, Blanche is facing the camera, as is the psychiatrist. She's looking away from him.
Yeah.
She's feeling so much shame and embarrassment that she can't even look at him at first when she talks. And I just thought that was such a really great detail.
Yeah.
That probably wasn't in the script. That was just the director's choice of she's not going to want to look this person in the eye while she's sort of admitting all of her vulnerabilities. I just thought that was really beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. At first, the psychiatrist is kind of invalidating. He's like, look, this isn't a big deal. It just means you can't get pregnant anymore. And it takes her a minute to be like, no, sir, this is a big deal.
Yeah, it is. And also, I mean, in that moment, therapist, you probably shouldn't be talking to your patient like that, because if they're experiencing it as a big deal, express it as a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. And poor Blanche, I didn't even write her speech down because I was just so... my eyes were just glued to the screen watching her act and perform. And, for her, her life is over. At the end of the scene, she's so emotional. She dramatically puts her hands up on the blinds. And
yeah.
Oh, yeah. My heart broke for her. Acting.
Yeah.
So back at home, the women are eating the most gorgeous looking chocolate cake and talking about menopause. And I really like the women's different perspectives on it.
Yeah.
Sophia's kind of like, you grow a beard. She also, when they're talking about getting their periods, I love that Sophia goes, I got it. Nobody told me. I didn't get it. Nobody told me. I figured this is life and went back to my meatballs.
Which, not totally wrong.
It lines up with the village she grew up in.
Yeah,
and her
but also
experience.
it lines up with I think what a lot of women have gone through over the years with their bodies. In that, I mean, even my mom with her lupus, for years, doctors were like, "Oh, it's just menopausal, or it's just whatever it was," and it's just kept getting misdiagnosed, to the point where she was literally thinking she was going crazy, and then finally she gets a doctor that is willing to do some real tests, and then something happens. But it's in America, and I think all over the world, oftentimes women's health is just disregarded as sort of just them being dramatic or them being whatever it is. And it's no, look into it. It can be serious.
First, it's very unfair that your mom had her own chronic fatigue syndrome episode.
Yes.
That's not
for
right.
20 years.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that she finally figured it out, but it should not have taken that long.
Yeah.
And the other thing I just want to put out there, women literally push babies out of their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So when a woman is like, I'm in pain, especially a woman who is probably having babies before epidurals.
Yeah. Yeah.
When a woman is like, yeah, there's something not right with my body, believe her.
Yeah. I mean, listen, no, I'm not a woman, but I remember when I got sick and I had a coworker, a crazy woman, who she was like, well, thank God you're a pussy. And I was like, excuse me? And she was like, well, because if you weren't so cautious about like your pain, you wouldn't have gone to the doctor. Like a lot of people wouldn't they would just be like, oh, it'll go away. No big deal. And then it would have gotten a lot worse. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess I'm a pussy. That works out. Yeah.
That's
cool.
a way of looking at it. Sure.
Yeah,
I'll take that.
I just
Yeah.
think I'm very proactive about my body and health. But okay, yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. There's a little bit of nuance there, but okay.
I'll take it, lady.
I'll take it. I like that Dorothy's perspective on menopause was so different. Again, where Blanche sees it as a loss of her sexuality, Dorothy's like, oh, I love it. Like I had really bad PMS. Like
But
I would go
it so
crazy.
tracks for someone like B. Arthur because, like, looking back to Maud, Maud is gonna love going through menopause because she doesn't have to worry about not having her period every month and like all of that. Like Maud would throw a party when she went into menopause, so like it tracks for B. Arthur's character to be excited about it.
Yeah, it really does. She's just like, and you'd think that Blanche would like hot flashes because it gives her an excuse to take her clothes off.
I like
to think that she would lean into that.
I get that, and I respect that humor there with it, but I do feel like hot flashes seem like the worst thing in the world.
They do. I'm not saying they are because I don't have them, but they do seem like the worst.
I already, even in London, I remember I went to bed, I had so much trouble sleeping because I'd go to bed freezing. And then because of the down comforter and stuff, I would get really, really hot during the night and I'd wake up sweaty and stuff. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening with my body? Because I was like freezing on the outside, hot on the inside. And so like that is like, and that's a small example of what I believe a hot flash potentially could be like.
I remember once driving in a car with my mother in the middle of winter and I'm in the front passenger side. And all of a sudden she goes, oh, I'm having a wicked hot flash. And she rolls the windows down and blasts the AC in my face for like the next 2 minutes.
Oh, wow.
I was like, this is misery. I can't imagine what you're feeling.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. But for Blanche, again, excuse to take her clothes off.
I don't think that works in a hot flash. I think you're still dying of heat, even if you're naked.
Maybe.
I don't know. Chime in, women.
Chime in. I also loved, I have to point out, Dorothy's gray sweatsuit with like a patterned cowl neck.
Yes.
I need some, I'm telling you, if Michael were to recreate Golden Girls looks and sell them, do like a drop and sell them, he would make so much fucking money.
Yeah, I wish he was concerned about money in that way. He's not.
No, I know. And I'm sure he's busy and doesn't even have time to do it because he has so many clients that he works with. But I just want he's the only, I have to say Michael because he's the only person I know who makes clothes.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we should. That reminded me, Naomi. Hold on. Go on, please.
Okay. And then we meet Dr. Parks, mink doctor, hot cardigan.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I thought this man's name was Dr. Cox at first. And I was like, that's so funny and perfect. But it wasn't. Perfect. It was Dr. Parks. But it would have been funnier if it was Dr. Cox. They could have had more jokes. He was giving me like Patrick Duffy dad and Step by Step vibes. I thought he was pretty handsome.
He's still handsome, Patrick Duffy.
Yeah. He is still handsome?
Yeah.
Oh, Patrick Duffy. Yeah, Patrick Duffy he's okay.
He's okay.
You know how I feel. You know how I feel about men when they age.
Wow, you're ageist with men.
I'm so ageist.
So ageist.
I know.
I would.
Everybody remembers our Dick Van Dyke conversation,
and I think I won in that conversation. Thank you,
you
audience.
did because mine is ageist.
Yes.
So Dr. Not Cox says that the minks are too old to breed.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And also it sounds like a little gay because they were doing a little tush push at the end of the episode.
That's right. Call back to tush push.
Call back to the tush push.
But that doctor was like, But only minks, not people. Not people.
I love seeing Stella Blanche get her groove back in this
know,
moment. This is
know.
the first time in this. This is why I'm saying we get the range of Blanche in this episode, because at the very end, we do get that sexy Blanche back,
I mean,
where she's
literally
like,
right until the end, when Dorothy makes the joke in the last line of the episode, when Dorothy makes the joke of those are the two boy minks or whatever, and they all are looking in the cage or whatever. There's a moment there where the camera lasts a little bit longer than what would normally be held of a shot, and then Blanche goes, and she like looks deeper, like she gets a little smile on her face, and she's liking the gay minx porn that she's watching.
hey,
I mean,
whatever's
no
getting
judgment.
you through that moment,
yeah,
no judgment.
Get through that hot flash, baby. Do what you got to do.
I also love that in the end, Blanche admits that it wasn't Dr. Not Cox who made her feel better, but that it was the women and their friendship. Because again, that's what the show is all about.
I mean, it really is. And but I also think it's true. Like in moments like that, because of situations like what I described my mom and a lot of other women going through, where you're dealing with medical professionals and people and in the industry really that force women to feel a certain way about their bodies and their health, and maybe be in the feel like they're going crazy when they're not. And it's like, maybe just talk to other women and you'll probably get some perspective, and the perspective you should be getting from your doctor.
I know. I love that the psychiatrist was not the one who gave her the perspective.
Yeah. But I mean, it's sad that you have to source it out, group source it out through people, but do what you got to do.
That's what friends are for.
Keep smiling. Can't afford it.
Can't afford it. And in the end, the women do decide to keep the minks, I guess, as pets, which
is a horrible idea.
Horrible idea. They're throwing away even more money. Can you imagine? Can you just imagine?
They eat their weight in whatever.
Yeah, they eat their weight in food. Can you imagine for a moment being a neighbor on Richmond Street, being Mrs. Claxton?
Yeah.
And you look out your window past that old oak tree.
Yeah.
And you see a little boxy Volvo shoot up the driveway inexplicably at 100 miles an hour for some reason and slam on the brakes. And then the garage door opens. And inside you see stacks of cages with minks next to a piano playing chicken. And you're like, what the fuck goes on in this house?
Just keep going.
And then you see Blanche in her French maid uniform, entertaining a gentleman caller.
You see Sophia naked with her trench coat open in front of the refrigerator.
Yeah. What goes on?
There's a
in
lot
that house on Richmond Street
going on. Dorothy sleeping with a clown.
The parachuting chicken or whatever it is in the backyard.
There's
the bird,
a lot
I don't know.
going on.
There's a lot of weird stuff. The UFOs.
Just keep moving. Just keep moving. Just keep going.
Moving.
Everyone has that house on the street. This is a great episode.
This is a great episode. I love it. Rewatch it. Rewatch it. It's so good.
And we will be right back with our golden takeaways. And we are back with our golden takeaways, which is a nugget of truth or inspiration that you can apply to your lives or the lives of our listeners. Kerri, Doherty, Bush, Elizabeth Taylor, Parsons.
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah. What's your golden takeaway from this episode?
Well, looking at my notes, I already said my golden takeaway earlier in A Moment of Passion, which is about how it's okay to love yourself, but also it's okay to be realistic. And so in lieu of that, while we were on break, I went ahead and carefully, from underneath my ring light, removed the pie book that I'd like to just share with everybody right now. This is the 4 and 20 Blackbirds pie book, uncommon recipes from the celebrated Brooklyn Pie Shop, from the sisters, Emily and Melissa Elson.
Yeah.
These pies are fabulous. I've eaten them, never baked one, but that'll change once I start my pie journey.
Yeah.
I just really want to recommend this book because these are the best pies I've ever had. So,
well,
you can order them online. They're incredibly expensive to ship, but if you have the money, you can order them online, and I bet it's totally worth it. Because look at that, we're promoting a little Mom and pop shop. Sisters.
Yeah. Sisters.
That's my golden takeaway.
So sister and sister shop.
Sister.
My
Never
golden
knew how much I
takeaway.
missed her. Go ahead.
My golden takeaway is the reveal of the stimulant in which I was explaining to Miss Doherty Bush, but yet I cannot say what it is, I don't think, because of YouTube rules. So I'm going to do it in the form of a recipe. So you take 1 pepper, you add in an orange, and then you add in a parsnip, and then a peach, and maybe an eclair, and then a radish, and then some salmon. And what does that spell? That's what you need to Google. Because you take the first letter. The first letter of each one.
I wasn't paying attention. I didn't.
I
thought
texted
you were...
it to you, so you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
I was just giving a recipe
need to tell
for
people. You have to tell them what they're looking out for,
No,
or else
I
they won't
can't.
know.
Because I can only do it in the form of, it's the word. It's the first letter of each
fine.
thing.
But now we have to. Now they're going to have to hit 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10
Go
seconds,
ahead.
and go back.
Go ahead. You're going to do it. And then it's going to give you the thing. Every gay person's really annoyed. And then it's going to give you the thing. And then you're going to know. And you're going to learn more about yourself and 1980s VHS cleaners.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. That was a moment. Oh my gosh. Well,
You're
everyone.
welcome.
You're welcome. This has been another episode of Out on the Lanai. Thank you all so much for listening. Be sure to catch us back here next week for more Golden Girls greatness. And of course, remember, you can go over to the GGVIP Club over at patreon.com/Golden Girls Podcast. It is free to sign up, but of course, you get all of the perks at the $5 and $8 a month levels.
Thank you for listening. We're a part of Moguls
of
Media, where you can find us there, and you can also find us on the socials at the Golden Girls Pod on Twitter, or Golden Girls Pod on Twitter, Out on the Lanai Official on Instagram, Golden Girls Pod on Facebook, and little old me, I'm HAlanScott / Sadie Pines on most things.
I am Squidzy on Instagram, where I rarely post, but we'll probably post pictures from the Madonna Inn of Stan and I.
Oh, that's
dressed
right.
Up. We were dressed up. I was dressed up as the year 1969, and he was dressed up as the year 1970.
Wait, okay, yeah. I have to see the picture, but like, I want to know how you read 1969, because there's 2 ways you could go.
Well, I'm saying 1969, but I don't know if it was true 1969. I was reading a little bit more like boho, like I'm going to a party at Sharon Tate's house, and he was reading more like 70s Italian.
You know what my 1969
mafia
is? I'll tell you what my 1969 is. It's
What's that?
It's Barbara Streisand winning the Academy Award for Best Actress for Funny Girl in a see-through tuxedo.
Ooh,
That's my 1969.
That's sexy.
Google it. It's one of the best Oscar outfits ever. Because it's not a great gown or anything, but it's a great outfit. It's an iconic outfit.
Sounds like a great outfit.
Yes.
Well, I'll send you pictures
Please.
When I can find them.
Please.
Oh, here's one. I'll send it to you.
Okay, great.
And Squidzy on Instagram, Squid Eats Squid on Twitter. And if you want to do something else awesome for the podcast, you can leave us a rating and review wherever you get this podcast, because it does help people discover us. And when we grow our audience, we grow our audience.
Oh my God, you guys look so good. Oh my God, Stan looks so hot. He looks so like Boogie Nights ish, and then you look like an actress auditioning for Boogie Nights.
Yeah, thought about that. Yeah, thought about
he owns the company, and you want to be part of his company. Bada boom, bada bing,
bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. He looked good. It was fun.
Yeah.
Oh well.
And remember,
as always,
stay golden.
Stay golden.
Stay golden. Stay golden. Bye.
Out on the Lanai is not endorsed by Whit Thomas Harris Productions, Touchstone Television, Disney, or any of its subsidiaries. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only.
All names, pictures, audio, and video clips of the Golden Girls are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective trademark and/or copyright holders.